feel for Team Liquid that they have certainly gone under the radar. And they've gone under the radar of VP. We've spoke about it, and I'm certainly a victim of this. We continue to say Kings of Europe, Kings of Europe, Kings of Europe, looking towards VP, what VP's doing, how VP's doing. Let's just sit back for a moment and kind of take stock and take note that so far through... Run him over. Go on, do him, do him, do him, do him. You might get him here, you know. It's...
right.
Okay, yeah, forget it. Liquid have had, in the last quote-unquote majors that we've had, PCS 4, 3, 2, 3 second places going into this. And I honestly think it's been overshadowed. The consistency to be able to stay in the top 2 for 3 major events back to back to back.
I've got to say, individually, ENCE have been actually playing a fantastic game too. We do have a little bit of a pull-up, not a fully committed pull-up, with full intent. Flawlessly has been called off. That's example with the freest kill of his life. So take that happily, and NaVi get to maintain. And for question mark, actually, a doozy had an absolute terror of a performance. He's someone who's definitely called our eye, and this team has now been thrown into that bit up there with them. So we have 2 teams that aren't really pushing top end yet, having a really good opportunity here. Gear up, pretty center circle. Of course, VP are nearby, right, Rich? Like, I mean, they'll always find a way in, it seems.
And they're actually playing a 2-2, which for a circle like this, you'd usually say, well, it's early game, it's totally fine, it's viable, but we have to take into consideration something you alluded to, the amount of playable terrain that we do have that's outside of the circle's edge, eastern side. Further afield, you're looking on the main road. We saw Liquid taking control of it yesterday, but this time they'll find themselves situated more towards more towards VP's neck of the woods. You've got FaZe that are going to be just above Hacienda del Patron, and they're in a 2-1-1. That is a large amount of land. With the circle about to update, we'll see who's going to be best situated to receive where we're going to go. So it actually pulls more down towards the southern side. This is an interesting one because we know Elazar does not take circles. This will now push and force the main head of the pack, which is going to be SMB, over towards the western side. But everywhere, Lauren, because of that, let's call it, I don't know, 30% of this circle, we're not going to have an ending there. So a lot of people now will be trying to squeeze themselves in the western side of this as best possible. But teams are already set up from the previous turn.
Yeah, already there's going to be a couple of casualties on this rotation, just kind of that shuffle south, that little bit of compression that's coming out. Galacticos is the one who's going to be down by the petrol station. You can see the swing coming out from Gear Up, but they're in such a bad spot in this. Trying to fight in towards this as already Galacticos are so happy to sit here and just tap away. This could get some attention from that hillside, up towards the left or the right side, so there is a bit of a time limit, but that's going to speed up the matter. A great little nade comes flying out, and that's going to leave just, I think, 1 alive. Yeah, it is just 1 for Gear Up. And options are looking disastrous. So get in the vehicle, get the hell out, and see if you can snake it away, but I don't know if he's going to get away. Oh, the sprays are rough today, aren't they? I mean, that's a little trickier. And there's the third party I was saying that could come out, like events. A couple of other teams can definitely see it, and there's a collection on that final player. So first team out is Gear Up. They kind of got caught in that little bit of a death bowl, that valley that runs in between here, and now you've drawn all the attention. This is the problem. As soon as you start popping off like that, you're going to get attention. Ooh. Lovely return from Qwizzy, however. Going to at least remind Kino, all right, calm down, mate. Chill out a little bit. Maybe we can get res. Don't know if ENCE is going to allow it.
Decent shot comes across, though. Bangs Rustanmar back and allows him some time, but Fate through the smoke. That's, yeah. That's a 10-1 shot straight through it. Knocks out Keanu. So they remove 1 player off the back of it and essentially punish hard by not covering that ridgeline, by not laying down a pre-smoke, if you will, and somewhere to work off the back of and just getting bloodlust. Don't get me wrong, there is time, there is opportunity now to be able to pick up these stragglers and to get involved in these third parties from teams which were already situated in the previous circle. But you've always got to have a game plan. You've always got to have that area that you know you have a level of safety, you know, a small safety net that you can kind of fall back to. Vanir, even on the retreat, Yellow is caught in no man's land. An example, of course, the absolute eagle eye who will be able to see him across that sandbank will do some damage, and he will put him down for now. The slow's there. The confirmation of the finish isn't quite there. A small one to make note of, VP, where they are playing currently, they're actually on the 3 peak, so just above Minas Generalis, and the one thing that we know about the 3 peak area, the circle can't land on the inaccessible terrain. So that's going to push away from them. VP currently is playing that terrain slightly elevated to see where people are, to scout out where people's locations are going to be. But they're in a place where the circle essentially won't be. So the next rotation, will be
Look at the
interesting for them
distance.
because it's a very, very condensed and packed area, pretty much in a full 360 around them.
We're going to get a day of Aitzy's aim being, like, actually pretty nuts. FaZe are the ones who get to work on this. Now, great knock and a good opportunity for Aitzy to now move up. He's going to at least kind of force one of the players to hit that res, get CodeMarco back on his feet. Perfect time to try and hit up the rest of the FaZe clan and just kind of move up slightly further north, kind of, you know, west to north. They'll be moving a little closer to NaVi's territory, but actually, considering NaVi are still in transition themselves, this isn't a bad shout. They get to come in quite quietly on this side, and the updates kind of come in. Now, ENCE have kind of taken over a great compound as well on that southern kind of ridge.
Down towards the embankment as it goes up from the hillside. So if he wants to try and wrap on this and get a much deeper angle onto them, they can do. Heroic had to go for the 2-2. They've split off for now, and this all came down to essentially Lou and BatulinS overstaying their welcome and sitting up on the hillside. It's been rather problematic. It wouldn't let them go anywhere whatsoever. You mentioned TM were directly in front of Heroic. There was no way to take that fight. Instead, they're forced to wrap around on VP. That's easier said than done. Yes, they can maybe challenge them
TM
while they're in this ever so slight, you know, disconnected 2-2 that they're within. But the call's been made. Spyro's running back to this. PerfectX is still holding down the front circle, so they have some sort of entry point in towards the circle center. TM are also looking onwards of Heroic position. I'm just seeing it in a different angle altogether. So, yeah, I'm a little bit concerned for Heroic. They're about to get mashed between two different rosters.
Yep.
Vanir, is this a blind send? Surely you wouldn't. Okay, I'm happy with that. At least put the vehicle back for now. Use some smokes if you're going to try and do something else. It's a bit barren, you know? We're not working with much, but we'll take whatever we can get at this stage. Exhalation look like they're sharing residency with SMB. It is a large compound to keep full control of. Look at the reposition of PerfectX. Even he's been called into this now. So all four of VP have turned to this. They're essentially just playing for the gatekeeper. They're playing outside of the blue because they know they have an exit plan. They know they can run up to the circle's edge. Heroic cannot. The second player will fall. And my word. The late call, the late play, unfortunately, has cost Heroic dearly. It's allowed VP to backbuild. It's allowed VP to regroup the troops. And now they are being punished hard. All the smokes will have to be expended to be able to try and advance forward with this. But TM is still lurking in the back lines. This is all kinds of problematic for Heroic.
Yeah, but again, VP have to cut ties. Now, that's the bigger issue, that T-Bone has nothing left to do. He's going to have to fight. There's no way you back away from this. He wants to get the flush, see if he can do it, but PerfectX right there, the bodyguard on duty, at least going to deny that. But Spyro does get flushed, and Heroic are like, well, if we're screwed, I'm just going to drag you down with me. And that's exactly what they're doing. VP are going to suffer casualties purely because Heroic had nowhere better to go, and they just drag them down with them. Maybe a quick res could happen, but TM have been watching the entire time. This will probably cost PerfectX's life at this point. No one can really deny this. BatulinS is trying to close that gap right now, and he does. Just about gets there in time, but at what cost? Lou's been flushed. I'm pretty sure PerfectX is down at this point as well. Things are looking dire. And this is BatulinS. Oh no, PerfectX is still alive. He actually managed to live. BatulinS, the absolute hero right now, spots him out, takes his time, and that time might have just almost cost him his life. 1 HP, he gets away, but he lives to fight for another second here. PerfectX gets caught, and this southern side, again, Heroic putting themselves in a position that they couldn't win from, and VP didn't disconnect away from it early enough. They wanted to see if they could clear it out while they had a chance. TM actually will come out the victors from this. They will be the ones to be laughing unless they get some mad scenario. VP go down in 14th. That's done. TM now kind of controlling that southern band, but let's check in on the east, where we're just jumping to pretty much in a second, I'm sure. We've got ENCE out here, Hall of Game question mark, Exhalation, and I guess Galacticos a little bit, they're just down the defilade, so they wouldn't be able to have full vision on this. But that's going to be tough now. Team Liquid are once again grinning ear to ear. They are in the prime position in this. They're still pretty happy. We can talk about the kind of, I guess, negative side of this when you talk about that dip that is in the north. Very playable, but right now there's 3 teams there, so it's not as safe as you'd like. You can see Hall of Game trying to do something from this, but the blue is their current biggest enemy, and then there's plenty on the other side. So question mark do go down in 12th. We're down to about 10 teams here. I'm pretty sure Hall of Game went down at the same time. Yes, they did. So now we jump towards the north. FaZe facing off against DA.
This has actually been beneficial for Vanir. You've got to remember the small amount of land that they have. They're basically inside a bowl. That is a banger. That is an absolute sterling nade from Gustav to stall Vard on his tracks. But the more nades, the more utility that these two teams expend against one another, the better this is for Vanir. Let's not forget about BBL. They are lurking outside of the blue. They are back building onto this. FaZe absolutely no idea. They've gone for a 2-2. 2 players behind Team Liquid. 2 players about to get involved with this crunch because down comes FaZe Clan. All 4 members of DA, but they don't know where they are yet. They don't have the full information. They're looking towards the smokes. If DA wants to try and take some sort of a battle, it'll be an uphill battle, but it'll be a bit of a kicker and a bit of a shock tactic for FaZe Clan if they don't have the full read, if they don't have the full information, which I don't believe they do. But Marco, slowly but surely, works his way towards this. The reinforcements have also been called, so all of BBL is now fixated on this plateau. I genuinely do not think anybody's kept track of them. Those smokes that he's putting down to kind of cover his approach actually might inadvertently give up the game.
Does Fex know? I think Fex does know. He's 100% found them and he just caught them in transition. That's perfect timing for Fex. Good bit of damage between the two, but he receives a fair bit back. Where's that next layer to FaZe? Because Marco's going to push this. He needs that frag. He gets that frag. There's a trade from Aitzy. A little late, but it'll happen. And now Aitzy needs to do some more. His aim looked good earlier on, and it might be just sharp enough to keep FaZe comfortable. But if I'm DA and I'm hearing this, it's my time to move. What is that turn? Gustav just got backhanded by BBL. That's the BBL you want to be seeing. FaZe so worried about the rest of the side. He was looking towards Liquid, but it's DA, it's BBL that are the big problems. DA gonna start taking that space. Aitzy's gone down, nabbed away by NaVi. But it doesn't really matter. Whichever way it happens, FaZe are in pieces, down to 1. NaVi's on 3 players alive, and DA. Interesting split that they're going for here as well. 3 players as a pack taking on BBL. That fight begins now. And they're leaving 1 just slightly further disconnected from the others towards the north side to keep a track of the likes of NaVi. That's DA thriving in this madness. They could not have asked for a better scenario to come out. They got that perfect entry now on that northwest side. They are going to be laughing. Outside of though, Liquid still in really good position. The east, as it stands, the entirety of east to south, maybe a little bit of that north, everyone's on the outskirts because of this. Look at this circle position coming out. It is brutally open, and already you're seeing ENCE trying to keep these numbers up. They're getting tapped away by Galacticos, but I'm looking at Tiikzu. Tiikzu is very close by to this. He's kind of just snuck up under the hillside. Fenderlost, he's going to be aware now that someone's near enough by. The flash goes in, and if Tiikzu's on today, this could be deadly for Fenderlost.
Come in all the utility, if not just to push this one or even push them back, give himself some breathing room. Ultimately, they will have to take the fight because of everyone else's position that they're set up within. Liquid's been proactive and actually playing up against the blue. They've sent 2 players to try and sniff out what's left, the remnants of TM. DA, Zeong's position earlier on by going off from the rest of the pack gives them an entry point, but also denies access for NaVi should they want to swing and go behind and try and capitalize on all the noise and all the chaos that was about to unfold. Rustanmar almost down, not quite dead just yet, but it shows you even from that fight, the information and the leverage that Team Liquid have from their position. Zeong in with the first one. Example will go down. Yellow straight to the fight for Galacticos. They've turned up unannounced. They still want to try and keep this under control, and we said that for Vanir to survive this, they need to keep everybody back because it's such a tiny, tiny position that they're holding. Yes, your head can be covered. Yes, you can completely get out of the way of fire, but one good grenade will spell disaster for the entirety of the team, so they don't want anything to do with this whatsoever. Meanwhile, Team Liquid will just keep on holding people back, and that's not the way to do the drive-by. That's a little bit sad, and he keeps going, and my word! NaVi just demolishes ENCE on arrival. Thank you very much, boys. We appreciate the vehicles. We'll see you in the next game.
Yeah, straight up DOA on that one, and floor's on fire, and you're being absolutely roasted out in there. That's not a pretty position to be in, but NaVi went in the most beautiful of spots themselves. They have a lot of attention now coming across the field, but that's actually going to help matters. With that team that's like, I'd say the closest to the south of NaVi being removed, that might allow them to step forward. Yes, Vanir can still see it. We've already seen that DA are keeping them super pinned in, super quiet, and while all this happens, obviously Liquid are very happy. We don't even need to touch on that too much. They are sitting to the south. They control the vast majority of the circle, and we said it earlier, that northern side of the ridge that kind of like rolls down, that allows that def light. Look at these shots. Woo! It's a kindness at that point. Just put them out before they burn to death. But that ridge line in the north, it is being shared by NaVi and DA. So you can see why it's such a viable position. It does give you a little bit of safety, but it was shared by a lot more earlier on. Now, alya may be feeling himself after those 3, and you know what? I'm all aboard it. Let's see what else you can do, though. Going to try and bring the pain to DA, but it's a hard ridge to play from here. PiXeL's going to have a deeper angle, too, which is going to cause so many issues from now. Good nade could do some big work here. Can they isolate Vard? They're trying to, but he's not going down just yet. And DA looking a little on the back foot here.
PiXeL's the man that you really want to come into the fold here and cover you some defense, but I don't blame him for really not showing his hand. He can't. If he steps out too far, if he overextends, then Liquid have the way with him. There's two of them holding two different angles. PiXeL's forced to try and rally up to the rest of the troops and give them some support. He will build the backboards, but all of a sudden NaVi's at their foothold. They're in all kinds of problems. They're looking and lurking through the smoke, and Mellman's down low. The wrap will come through. Sees another one just on the floor. Should be an easy frag, and it is. DA are down in 5th. NaVi with a very clean lower flank.
That was incredible from NaVi to take the initiative to push up like that. DA had superior numbers as well at that point, and were pretty well dug in, had a couple of layers to work with. Hey, they pulled it off. We're down to 4 teams now, and this is alya starting to feel himself. He's starting to just deliver pain upon pain. Aim rolls down. He's insta-flushed at this point. Artix is just trying to keep some cover. But Vanir, how have they gone unchecked at this point? They are still sitting here. Now Liquid will have to finally leave the castle to kind of see what the peasants have been up to in the village down below. You've got NaVi still living on that ridgeline, 3 of them standing and well geared, and they'll have some more utility, I'm sure, off the back of that pickup towards DA. Vanir heads down, playing quiet, because you don't want to get the attention when you're slap bang in the middle of the circle, and then you got Artix. That's your lot. So again, Liquid have to be careful to not get all the attention here, because again, every team's going to be looking up that hillside, and they're going to be seeing these silhouetting players just completely showing out against that beautiful blue skyline. So at this point, you've got to be a little careful, as it looks like NaVi are certainly on point today.
Liquid the manpower. More importantly, the circle control. They have the upper end. Vanir still dug in deep, and ultimately you really can't do much from that little hidey hole that you've been garnered from the very start. The vehicle's giving him some sort of cover, and he's got the rock to play off of as well, but fighting an uphill battle versus Liquid. Liquid, in theory, should have an absolute boatload of utility as well to actually put to good use against these teams downwind of them. They've been in that compound pretty much the entirety of this game, so they should have saved all their gear until the last stand. Thankfully for NaVi, they can pick up the body boxes, they can take the pickings from the corpses of ENCE earlier on and try and put this to good use. They will attempt to burn him out. It's already clipped. Out comes the one player, and down he goes instantly. Artix will fall. Now next target on, and these are the vehicles also that ENCE gifted them. That's a headshot from the distance. Alya has been battered. Flamey will take that one all day long and mxey to solidify.
And it's the zone that's done it to NaVi. If they could have lived on that ridge the entire time, this game could have looked different. Their hand's been forced. And the problem is the cross is super, super visible to Liquid, and then it's easy for the likes of Vanir just to peek that ridge a little, get their shots in. Now, Liquid need to start planning out how they want to approach this eventually, because NaVi will probably get dealt with somewhere along the lines by Vanir. Probably. Now, again, there is still Mellman examples. You could still see something happen here. The smoke wall has been constructed, and they're trying to move on up. They get that next step in the plan, but again, look at the vision. Oh, yellow, okay. That's a little bit of a headshot. That's a stark reminder to Liquid, like, okay, I know you've been looking over us quite literally. You can't do that. Now, Jeemzz puts himself a little deeper in towards the circle, sitting a little bit further to the east than the rest of Liquid, so he's got himself a little bit of an angle to work from. He is safe for now. And the rest will have to be able to kind of move off the back of that. NaVi are working their way in. If they have nades, if they have a way to close the gap on Vanir, they are going to post them. And there could be trouble ahead.
Example. Still plenty of gas in the tank. Still want to do some damage. You can see him just moving between individuals. His aim, the individual skill is just phenomenal. And finally, the offensive gear can be put to good use. NaVi need to find one good nade. One decent nade in the middle of Vanir will do so much damage and actually give them a stepping stone to maybe...
4 smokes, 3 nades. They're about to do it. Oh, Mellman!
What else can you do? You got blue on your back. You're kind of constricted up against it. I'd assume that Vanir are also down in utility as well. You know, they've had a fair few fights. One final flash will probably pop out. They're building another wall. Whether or not this is just a bit of a bait to maybe swing on the backside of Vanir, I don't know, because Example no longer has an angle with that smoke up onto Liquid. Unless he's go... Okay, I didn't realize Jeemzz is still further to his left-hand side, so I like this, that they've put the smoke down to actually try and get a jump start onto Jimbo and get him off this corner. But even the pre-fire, it's just enough pressure maybe to block NaVi in. If that nade's good, it's going to really hurt.
Not quite good enough. Liquid going to start moving their way down as well, try and get some solidified position. You can see the rock they're working off. If they can build a bridge towards that other one that's slightly more centralized, that could be big for them. But obviously they want to get the timing just right because everyone is now closing that middle gap. They're trying to be that final team to the party, right? Let the other two fight if you can. NaVi only have 2 alive, but they are very vulnerable. Barely alive by smokes. And it is just a smoke field right now. You can barely see anything. Mellman, nade in hand, might just post it, see if he can maybe find Jeemzz, which he is within nade range of now, so Jeemzz has to be real careful about this one. He actually didn't quite find Jeemzz at all, so there's still a chance on this. But Liquid are closing the gap here. Jeemzz still doing great damage, barely making a kill on it, but he's just keeping them chunked down, worked down, pushed back, unable to move forward. That's a huge nade. Ibi, mxey, clib, all taking damage. You can see this. Everyone's looking towards Liquid, and it's going to be Jeemzz again, receives another nade. They're in danger now. Everyone is focusing towards Liquid. NaVi slowly encroaching, getting closer, but they're out of utility. They're out of options now. They are in the open, and it's Example to find Ibi. And now look at Example working his way up. He's doing everything he can. mxey with the trade, though. Flammy finds clib. It's down to Jeemzz and mxey to try and do something as Vanir moves in. NaVi's moving in, but Jeemzz holds his ground. Finds yellow, but Mellman's still alive. He's still playing this one out. Mellman finds mxey. It's putting in one player's hands for Liquid. Mellman, oh my word, it's down to just Short and Flammy. And now up against one. They've done it. Vanir pull it off.